I think we're live. Aloha. Welcome to my channel, All Good Things and All Good Time, where it is always a good day to be alive. This is my news show, appropriately called the God Awful News because it's not very good news these days. But before we get started, I was thinking I'd tell you about some of the jokes I'm going to do on Tuesday night. So I'm going to do open mic comedy night on Tuesday night. And I'm thinking I just want to do a short set of jokes, of fast jokes that are short to say, bangers. And of course, if you've watched my channel, which most of you who are watching this have seen it before, and if you haven't, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for the like. It's so weird. It says no one's watching, but I got one like. Oh, now one person, so that's exciting. Oh, and I'm gonna put this up on my big screen, so if people write comments, I'll be able to see them maybe easier. That's the fun thing about doing a live show, is you can watch your show live, you know what I mean? And so that's what I'm gonna do here. And I wonder if it sparks the algorithm a little, if you're watching your own video that's live and you're the first couple of screens, does that provoke a couple more screens to get in on it, whereas if there's just no action, maybe that leads to more no action. So, and there I am. All right, I'm on TV, and life is good. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of bad news. I tried to do a news program last night, and it's interesting because I spoke in the opposite direction in this room, and it sounded terrible because there's a carpet in front of me, I presume, and behind me there isn't. So if my voice goes that way against the kitchen, it reverberates. It sounded terrible, so I deleted it. This is the second time I've told all this news. It is a day old, and a bunch more weird, god-awful stuff Republicans have been doing all morning have also happened. And also I watched some really interesting documentaries or discussions with experts in their field on some stuff that reminded me of some stuff. This one lady was talking about, this ingredient that's really the ingredients that are, going to protect you from cancer and heal and cure lots of things and slow down the aging process, that are in spirulina, are also, I recognize this superoxide dismutase, which back when I was able to get wheatgrass juice, I used to drink wheatgrass juice every day. If I could find it now, I would drink it every day. I can find it on the mainland. That's why I made a video about it. You can snort a drop of wheatgrass juice and it'll just clear out your sinuses. And just put all these vitamins right up into your freaking brain, right through the membrane. Yeah, so I did a rebellious little video of snorting wheatgrass juice. If you haven't seen it, it's one of my shorts. Nevertheless, superoxide dismutase is this, superoxide is this terrible free radical that is really bad for you. And superoxide dismutase, like kills it. And there's tons of it in wheatgrass juice, and I guess it's in spirulina as well, according to this lady, and so on. And then she also mentioned sulforaphane, which is a strong subject of discussion on this channel because of it's the most widely studied thing on earth right now, maybe, for all of its healthy properties. That's in cruciferous vegetables, notingly more in broccoli sprouts than other places. But then I just heard it mentioned again. Red cabbage has a bunch of it, and this lady was saying this other lady did a video about. It's funny because I finally started buying sauerkraut. I have sauerkraut, but she was saying sauerkraut juice has miraculous properties. And of course, that's another thing I found. There's consistencies in all the doctors' opinions about certain things, and one of those is, yeah, brother, I'm glad to have you here. I forget what I was saying. Cheers. I mean, not entirely. So, oh, the lady was talking about, well, oh, so what's accepted by all doctors in all, there's certain things that are like universally good for you. It doesn't matter what doctor. You're talking about your liver health, your kidney health, your heart health, your longevity, curing cancer, whatever it is. There are certain things that just repeat themselves, which are all the things that I'm sharing with you because I've watched so many of these doctors talk about all these subjects. And one of those things is fermented foods, right? Because of its probiotic. We now all understand probiotics, and so we can jive with that. It makes sense. And so for that reason, things, capers, sauerkrauts, pickles are all hella good, which is cool because we love those tart things. But yeah, I just watched a video about, see, now I have this on the big screen so I can see your writing on the big screen. It's easier. Yeah, so sauerkraut juice was her big home run hit, the thing she wanted to teach everybody that's going to change their life and all that good stuff. And she talked about the mistake we made thinking that we should take a pill that has, 30 probiotic bacteria or whatever in it, when there's really like 1,000, and that only favors the 30 that it's in that pill, and then the other 1,000 bacteria are left to rot or whatever. So that was interesting. I never heard that. But I don't take pills anyway because they're stupid. Whatever you need is in food and ought to come from food, I think. That's just my own opinion. So I don't think your kidney and liver really want you. They don't want to have to process pills. A bunch of concentrated one kind of vitamin, just the same as any drug, and it seems, in my opinion. Anyway, so her big home run hit was, drinking sauerkraut juice. Interesting, because I never heard of that. And I was wondering, what should I do with this when I'm cooking? And I'm thinking about cooking something that it only lives in my brain because I was given a can of some stuff at this new food outlet that everyone else has been going to. I just finally figured out where resources are post-fire. And before I start working, I want to shore up any resources I can underneath me, and then start working with, as much going for me as I can get. Sauerkraut juice was her thing, and so that's one of the things. Fermented foods. Also, it seems like hummus, garbanzo beans are always liked, and sulforaphane, cruciferous vegetables are always liked by every doctor on every sub. You've heard me say all this, right? Omega-3s, everyone agrees with that. Aloha, gaming. I need to start doing gaming videos. I play one character in one game, Torbjorn. Anyway, so so omega-3s also, which of course are in the fish that we like to eat in Hawaii because it's in ahi tuna. Everyone likes ahi tuna, which is why we should take care of our ocean. And salmon, and then lots of foods and other fatty fishes. But so omega-3s and sulforaphane, cruciferous vegetables, all fermented foods are good. Kimchi on that list too. Cool. Bok choy is a cruciferous vegetable too. Those are some local loved things. And then those medium chain triglycerides is the other one that seem to be referred to quite often about when you want to live long. A lot of references back to Sardinia where they drink a lot of goat milk and goat cheese, and they all live till they're 100 years old, and they think it has something to do with that. And the Polynesians that live till long, they think it's because of it's in coconut oil as well. And so that's the common ground that I've found, and it just keeps repeating itself, right? I just watched somebody I already knew about, fermented foods, the green light on that, always good. And then I see this video about this lady talking about the best thing you can consume, or one of them, you should find it. It's interesting. Nice lady. Is this from sauerkraut juice, which just totally jives, which would everything else I've already heard. Then the other one was the lady talking about spirulina and superoxide dismutase and sulforaphane, and they both talked about sulforaphane, and that just reinforces everything I've been watching and learning. And so it was nice. And trying to do myself because I want to live long. Provided the current administration doesn't kill us all. So yeah, here I'm gonna tell you what I think. Here I am. My ambition is to do just like 4 or 5 minutes of jokes on Tuesday night, and I'm already up to like 12 or 14 that I want to do. The way I see it is, the more jokes you can tell, each one of them is an opportunity to make people laugh. In case the last one doesn't, maybe the next one will, right? So if I can someday get a goddamn theater to let me freaking take the stage, which I'm trying to do, I'm trying to rent a theater. I'm gonna try to sell 60 or 70 jokes. If somebody laughs at half of them, that's 35 times, right? That's a lot of laughters. So anyway, so I want to tell the joke that'll be part of that set, right? When I do an hour and a half about finding my marbles after the fire, I'm going to start right before the fire and tell the 2 jokes I told at breakfast every day where I worked, which was the Loco Moco joke. I got a friend named Moco. That guy's loco. Not gonna believe what they call him. Anyway, and that's a kid-safe joke, and it's a local joke. Local people are just inherently silly, and they like that. It flies really well here, and I can't believe no one else ever thought of it. No one ever heard of that joke. But I just thought, oh man, there's got to be a way to take advantage of loco. Anyway, so and then the joke. So where I worked, we just were right on the ocean and looking out at it in Kaanapali, where I was once working when someone was attacked by a tiger shark and lost their leg, almost died. So there's some truth to this, but nevertheless, every morning there's someone out there swimming, or 2 people 20, 30, 40 yards offshore, where it seems like a perfect experience, right? But there can be an occasional tiger shark because they're all just nomads. That until they go to one place every year, that's predictable, which is Oluwalu, and they make love and they have babies, and they get ready to go eat because the whales are coming, and it's their communion. So, but then the rest of the time they've tagged them, and they just do unpredictable things. You never know where they're going to be, basically, and they could be awake and slowly cruising during the day, and anyway, so yeah, one day I was working, I don't know, early 2000s, maybe 2000-ish, at Hula Grill right there in Kaanapali, and someone was attacked at 11 a.m. I was working lunch. Might have been 99, 98. Anyway, I think I was working lunch for some reason. I was a dining room server, but whatever. Okay, but anyway, so I'm right there. There's someone swimming out 40 yards offshore, and I love to just ask my guests, hey, do you think that person out there, do you think they can hear the music to Jaws right now? And if you're old enough to remember Jaws, everyone knows the music, the suspenseful lead-up music. Hey, Frankie, aloha. So, yeah, that I might tell that joke. Then I got that new joke, which came from the truth, which was from when I was in class. I was thinking about identifying, saying, my name's Craig. I identify as Chevy Chase as the oldest man at the community college, as I am in my classes at the community college. I'm the oldest person in all my classes, and my instructors are often people really close to my age that are about to retire. So it's like, wow, man, you're about to retire. You got everything finished, all buttoned up, and I'm just getting started. I better live, you know what I mean? I better live long enough to realize some dreams. Anyway, hence all the need to eat right and exercise and get my skin checked. I'm hoping to find a dermatologist soon. We'll see how this healthcare system works. But yeah, if you live here or somewhere sunny and you've been exposed, at some point you need to start seeing a doctor to have your back checked and back of your neck and moles, and make sure that things are burned off if need be. Just maintenance after a certain point. Anyway, so and I need to start doing that. I know a couple people who've died from skin cancer, and that's no fun. But so yeah, in the classroom, the last day of a class, what about Dangerfield back in school? Oh yeah, that's true. And he was maybe older than me. That's true. I do like Rodney Dangerfield. I'm gonna do once I can start getting some stage time. One of the things I want to do is sets of dead people's jokes, and try to learn their because if you, the only way you're really going to get insight and intuition into their who they really were was to just repeat their jokes word for word. And I would love to pick out 10 or 20 favorite Dangerfield jokes and tell them, and Mitch Hedberg jokes, and yeah, we have Kaiser, but right now it's the first time I've ever had free healthcare from the state because of the fire. I've always had good healthcare, so right now, just when I'm starting to want some, just because I'm getting old and don't want to die, I want to get my colon checked and my skin checked and everything, my blood checked. Yeah, now I have the shittiest. I have United Healthcare. The company's so bad the CEO got shot because they serve people so poorly. And yeah, so we'll see. I accidentally called dermatology, and they said they're not taking new patients. But I was supposed to call because I got a call from the surgical people to call back on a colonoscopy. I'm scheduled for a colonoscopy consult, and then I'll do the real thing. So that's happening. Got that? That's half of it. But so I don't know what's up with the dermatology thing. I'm waiting to get the reference to work its way through the system, but supposedly it's going to a dead end, maybe from what I don't know. That's one reason. There's two good reasons to be in a relationship other than all the other reasons. One of them is to spot the cancer on your back, and the other is to call the authorities when you fall and break your hip in the tub and can't get out. No one wants to die in the bathtub they can't climb out of because they got a broken hip or leg or, anyway, I digress. So, yeah, there was that joke I said in the classroom to all my fellow students that if they had a hot mom that was a single hot mom, not looking for a married one, and that's looking for an unemployed homeless guy, one, because obviously they're all in their 20s, and I don't need to be trying to date them. But it's also not really true. I mean, I'm not really hoping to meet somebody through that, but there's enough truth in there. That's how all my jokes are born. Anyway, I could maybe make that into a joke. Then I got my one whole joke that you've heard. I have a short video about that. That was the one joke that the kids laughed. The four people I did jokes to at the community college. They had an open mic night with 4 people there, and that was fine. But the one joke the kids laughed at was that one, so that was funny. And then that seems to work. And jokes are like if you're a guy and you figure out how to, please your lady, your wife, or your girlfriend, by some trick you figured out, you'll just go back to that because it works, right? And as a wannabe comedian, I tend to do the same thing. So someday, if the whole world hears my jokes, you guys are gonna be like, man, I've heard that shit 10,000 times already. Would you come up with some new jokes, Craig? But that'll just be me going back to what has worked in the past because I know it works and it's a safe space. It's easy. Yeah, so nevertheless, so like my text message joke, where, that one, and then my cracker joke, and the community college joke is new. I got a few hair jokes I've been just like dropping in, when I'm in conversation with some ladies, a group of a few ladies, I start to talk about all the hassles of long hair, the drain, and those are kind of fun. They're working on the streets. They might work on stage too, to some extent. If I have the right crowd, if I have a woman-dominated crowd, I could do some long hair jokes, which seem to go over well. The ordeal that is shampooing and conditioning, the hairballs from every shower I take, the getting in your eyes and in your mouth, all the things that you don't know about until you have long hair. And yeah, trying to drive with your window down, it's impossible. Anyway, Um, wear your mask. Oh, be careful. Oh, because of getting sick. Yeah. Preventative things they want you to do can be dangerous. Oh, you're right. So here's a joke, almost like a good friend of mine, who's one of my, maybe my most successful friend. You know, he's got truckloads and beautiful homes in special places. Um, he once said this joke as he was going into a colonoscopy. He's like, you know, they told me that there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that they could perforate your colon, and then you'd have to wear a colostomy bag the rest of your life. He's like, I've played lottery tickets that are better odds than that. And, you know, point well taken, which is why, you know, I've had no problem putting it off until I'm, you know, I probably should have done them at, supposed to do them at, they tell you they want you to do them at age 45. You know, I'm 56 and a half. And that's right, I'm going in half years. It's funny when you have a baby, it's like months. He's this many weeks, and then it's this many months, and then it's 1 and 1.5, 2.5, and then you get away from the halves eventually, and it's just years. But there is a progression there. Anyway, I've never done it, but I might bring up my concept of truck ovaries as opposed to truck nuts. How funny that would be. Oh, then there's my chicken joke I've never done, which, you know, because we got a lot of local chickens running around everywhere, and they do run in front of your car. Instead of saying cross the road, I'm going to say, I was driving my way here, and chicken ran in front of me, ran in front of my car, and I just pulled over, looked up, and I just screamed, "Wah!" Anyway, yeah, because that's the thought I have every time one crosses in front of me. I'm like, why? Why did that happen? Anyway, it's because of the old joke, you know. So maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll try that one. Anyway, open mic nights suck. The other comedians are usually pretty bad. They say things you wish you could unhear, just like a lot of comedians these days, because they think, you know, if they say some, whatever, joke that hates on certain groups, it's okay, you know, whether it's hating women or the trans community, or they're racist, or they're ethnically oriented and they hate white people, and it's like, I hate white people jokes. I mean, the hate jokes just aren't jokes in my humble opinion. And then what else? I wanted to maybe do my triathlete joke, and then the one where you know, if you go through a bad divorce, you got 3 options. You become suicidal, homicidal, or a triathlete. So I became a triathlete. And then in the middle, I tried to do an Ironman in 2014 in Coeur d'Alene. The swim was no problem. The bike ride was slow, and eventually got kicked off because I was too slow at 100 miles in. I was only 12 miles from the finish of the bike, and they said, nope, you can't go any further because you're too slow. And so that's fine. But halfway through the bike on the ground, it said, if this were easy, they would have called it your mom, you know. So that's that joke. And then I want to do the Jonah Hill joke again, you know, how he was like 13 years old for 30 years. And then finally, all of a sudden, he looks like a grown man, and man, his balls finally dropped in his 40s, but they dropped twice because they were in his 40s. So I think I'm gonna tell that one because it's a gay bar. So I figure balls jokes are good, nuts jokes are good. I might do the one where I ask the crowd if they've ever heard their mom fart. There's a good one. I'm probably gonna pull my white nuts out and say, I just like to pull my nuts out and show them to people, and then, you know, pull out my white kukui nuts, which is somewhere over here. Oh no, I put them in a place. That's right. And so I'll probably do that one. And then I'll finish up with my one political joke that goes over so well, the IQ joke. I might not be very smart, might not be very religious, but I thank God 100 times a day for giving me an IQ above Republican. And that's a fun comment to make too, because if you can get onto a popular news program, podcaster, and throw that in there like within a few minutes of them posting, so it's one of the first comments, then lots of people will see it, and then it starts getting likes right away. Next thing you know, it's got like 2,000 likes and comments, and that's the going. Anyway, so before I get into the god awful news, I thought I would just do some joke stuff, kind of like stuff like that. Last week I flaked, and I wanted to go do open mic night. It's an hour drive, and it's in a bar, not my favorite environment. Nevertheless, I'm hoping to do that this time, and I kind of made this up thinking for last week. So at least I gave it a little thought, and because usually I just write my set 5 minutes before I say it. I bring a pen in, a piece of paper, and then while I'm waiting to get upstage, I just decide which jokes I'm going to tell and what order. So that's been my method in the past. All right, so I thank you. Several of you have mentioned the sailing with Phoenix, and I was following that from the get-go. I don't know if I talked about that. What happens if MAGA is there? MAGA is there. Where? Oh, shoot. Not here. No, and not in a gay bar, and I don't give a shit. Yeah, people don't. This is a place where, like that, you can't be an asshole in Hawaii. And to be MAGA is to be racist, which it does happen, right? You get these brown-skinned brothers who are on the side of the Nazis, which makes no sense, but it happens sometimes. But it's very rare. It's very few. 71% of our state votes against Republicans. There's that. Anyway, and you can't really you can't be racist here because you would hate everybody all the time, right? 82% of the population here is not white, right? Like everybody is someone you would be offended by if you're a racist. So it's a beautiful thing if you love diversity and the beauty of it, right? I mean, what a great community. And it's not to say we tell racial jokes all the time, but they're just never mean-spirited, and they're funny, and they're silly, and everyone's always open to laughing, and as long as you're not really trying to hurt anyone's feelings, and that's usually pretty obvious either way, right? Their own, like the Filipinos think of their own Filipino jokes. They capitalize on their accent, right? There's this common street joke. I've told it on stage. Common street joke. Almost everybody here knows it, and it came out of the Filipino community. But it's what do you call two Filipino pilots? A pair of pliers, right? It's not mean. It's silly. It's funny. But I suppose if I told that in some scenarios, people would think that might be racist, right? Which is why I was surprised when whatever. Anyway, so, you don't gotta worry about that here. And I'm never gonna worry about that. In fact, I have no problem advertising to Republicans not to come to I want to have a show someday called No Republicans Allowed. That's how honest I want to be. After that fake Supreme Court case that then legitimized psychotic, racist people to discriminate against the gay community in Colorado over that wedding cake, right? The affirmation of Republicans' right to be discriminatory, right, backed up by the Supreme Court. As soon as that happened, gloves came off. It's time to discriminate against them, right? If anything, right? Like, And so I can't wait to have a freaking business with a sign that says that, or a show called "No Republicans Allowed," where if they buy a ticket, and the first thing I'm gonna say to the audience is, if any of you Republicans, you want your money back, I'll give it to you right now. I got cash in my pocket. We don't want you here, straight up. Oh, that'll feel so cathartic. You have no idea. I can't. But I gotta be successful first. That can't be my first show. Oh God, that would feel good. Anyway, the dreams, my dreams. God bless America. So, yeah, and God, what America is becoming. All the shittiest elements from our past is what we're becoming again, and they're corrupting people like Tulsi Gabbard. My God, I can't imagine being from here and signing up with the guy who loves McKinley, who stole Hawaii, and being the one who's going to be put to task to steal Greenland. I mean, that is just fucking crazy shit. And she's the only, talk about God being deceived. That's why I love, I don't think it's even possible in these women that I admire, that happen to be black. I don't think they have the capacity to become a different person like she did. Like, I don't know who she is now, and I thought I did. She was my congresswoman. I donated $7, but significant, because it's the only time, first and last so far, that I've ever donated money to any candidate for anything, president or otherwise. And that was when she was a Democrat who was in the military, who was going to be fighting for women's rights, not against them. For gun safety, not against it. For the environment, not against it. And how anyone could just like reverse on all that, let alone any of it, is abhorrent and disgusting, and makes the Republican Party the party that serves no good purpose. They do no good. They lie and they project in everything that they do. It's all a con. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, sailing with Phoenix. Guy showed up yesterday. He was celebrated. He's loved. I bet he meets the love of his life. Decides never to go anywhere. Decides this is where, because apparently he's going to be in a wheelchair before you know it. His back is going to die. And man, if his back had broken in the middle of the sea, he would have said, this wasn't such a good idea. But luckily he made it here. I don't know if he's planning on continuing on around the world. Was that his original goal? Or is he just going to sail back? Now he's here with his sailboat. Where does he go from here? I'm hoping, and when I'm guessing, he's going to be, it'll be suggested that what he should do, because people will be clamoring to love and meet him all throughout the islands, and he can sail from one island to another pretty easily compared to sailing across the Pacific Ocean to here. And so hopefully he'll make a tour like the Hokulea and receive all the love and that everyone wants to give him, because everyone has feelings for him and loves his story, right? And so that's sort of good news and interesting, and it's right here in Hawaii, in Maui, and maybe he'll sail over here, and if he does, then he'll be sailing right in here to the west side. This will be the first place he gets to. In case he's going to go around to the big island that's behind me. Maybe Molokai on the way, but if he goes around the other side of Lanai, which maybe he would. I don't know what the best way to sail would be. He might just come through the Kaiwi Channel straight here, but if he came the other way, then he would be really close. He could stop at Lanai on his way here. That's 10 miles away. Kaunakakai, which is the port, little city of Molokai, is I think like 25 miles away from here, and on the way to Oahu, which he might, 110 miles from Oahu where he is. North of there is Kauai. He might go there. But I'm real curious about where Sailing with Phoenix is going to go next. Or if his spine is going to crumble tomorrow, and will he be in a wheelchair? And I could see some woman falling in love with him and wanting to take care of him for the rest of his life, out of all this. I'm sure there's, maybe more than one, because he's an adorable man, If I was attracted to men, I would find him adorable. So, yeah. All right, let's get into the god awful news. What time is it? 34 minutes. Well, that's good. It's a good buffer. It's a good buffer. I'll try to zip through it all. I've already said this once. It's all the news many of you have already seen. Well, there's a few insights, maybe. Anyway, let's do this. Yeah, he is on YouTube. He has his own Sailing with Phoenix and his cat, whatever his cat's name is. I forget the cat's name. He did some FaceTime. I think he had like Starlink on his boat. He was able to communicate and do FaceTime and appear on other people's channels while he was in the channel, and that stuff kind of went viral. And now he's here with lays about and being loved on, and Waikiki Yacht Club took him in, which implies that he was given a safe berth for his boat by one of those guys. And so yeah, that's what's going on. It'll be really interesting to see what happens next in that man's ordeal, because everyone that will now be watching him, and I'm sure he'll be wanting and needing to use social media to help raise the money that it's going to cost to take care of his future medical costs once he is wheelchair ridden. And meanwhile, we could have had scientists working on a cure for his condition, except for the Nazis in the White House just fired all those guys, and they just got offered jobs in Canada and in Germany. That's one of the stories I'm about to tell you about if you haven't seen it. Germany's got 500 million euros. Here you go, guys. Anybody who's a research scientist, just like when we took all the scientists away from Nazi Germany. Some of which were kind of bad people. That guy that was at NASA with that, scar on his face, full on Nazi. But we took them, and they're now, although they're a democratic country that doesn't allow Nazis. It's the one, I wish we had free speech like them, except for Nazis. That's a good rule. We should, anyway. And in a country where we'll allow Nazis to march down the street with free speech, we'll lock someone up for writing an op-ed opinion in a school newspaper. Oh yeah, that really makes sense, you racist Nazi traitors. Holy shit. Oh, anyway, so yeah, 500 million euros Germany's got. Any research scientists want to go there, that'll help their country get ahead of everyone in the world in everything. You name it. So good on them. And aren't they smarter than we are right now? We are afraid of knowledge and history and science, and we've got these Christo-fascist psychos that are worshiping the devil, calling themselves Christians. It is absurd. But we're here together. We're here together, witnessing it together. Maybe smoking a little weed, maybe drinking a beer, not too many. Getting some endorphins from our exercise. Got to get that into your life. And, everyone who can afford it is building a bunker. It's crazy. And that's one of the news stories, right? Of course, everyone with all the billionaires are spending trillions of dollars on elaborate bunkers, because they are bringing the end of the world that they want to see so that they can move into their bunker. Really? Are you that stupid? Because it ain't going to be that fun, guys. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, one has to wonder. All right, so it's Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day, and thanks to all the people who serve and everyone who's ever given their life for our country. 420 and a Cabernet. Now, there's some good talk. Cabernets are nice. Wine is a slippery slope, though. It's so easy to go from one really good glass, which is a strong pour, which is a third of the bottle, to two of those, and now you just drank 2/3 of the bottle, and you are pretty buzzed. And now it tastes like grape juice, and next thing you know, you consumed a whole bottle, and you're going to have a hangover, and you are not safe to drive at all. I've served a lot of alcohol in my life, and wine is a slippery slope. That's why one of the reasons I really enjoy beer, even when it's strong beer. I know exactly where I am on that continuum, on the buzz continuum. I know where my limits are. They're easily definable, they're in 12 ounce, anyway. But yeah, I grew up wine tasting at 12. My dad bought a brand new Porsche in 1960 and he kept it perfect for 60 years. My brother got it after he died. It was the only thing that was left to anybody because he got it before he died based on previous agreements. He took ownership of it. As soon as my dad died, he sold it to a guy who took it to Europe for $140,000, this one car. So a Concours d'Elegance 356 Porsche Cabriolet B, and he kept it cherry, and he was a judge for 356 events. And all those people do from Marin County and the Bay Area, all they do on Sundays is drive through the wine country and go wine tasting. And so I was drug along to wine tasting adventures at 11 and 12, and they let me taste all the wines. I was here, try this Gewürztraminer, in the Sonoma Square, right behind in the cheese factory. When the cheese factory there was on the square, they moved it off, which pisses me off so much. I brought my kids there to show them how cheese was made, because it used to be right there on the square, and it was gone. Anyway, you used to be able to watch cheese being made. But behind that was this patio, and we were back there, and I remember someone going, "Here, try this Gewürztraminer," when I was 12. Anyway, so, and then that helped me when I became a server, selling wine, understanding it, knowing it. I'm no sommelier, but I can differentiate just about any varietal from any other, and because I've been doing it since I was 12. But anyway, so that's wine, and yeah, it's good. 420. Oh, I do want to say, John, because I know you like to vape, there's this side effect that can kill you that no one ever talks about. What you're doing when you're vaping is inhaling air that's had all the moisture taken. It's dried out air with the whatever. It could be nicotine too, whatever the ingredients are in that stuff. What it does is it burns your throat, dries out your throat. That's why people get antagonized by it. And your throat can dry out so much it can stick together, and then you can't breathe. And people can die that way. So I have the remedy. If you never thought of this, you can take a water filter device, a bong, and put a little bladder over it with plastic or plastic bag, or you can, just your finger to try to restrict the air so that a vacuum is drawn on the vape through water, which will then which will put water back into the air. It won't be so dry on your throat. It'll take out maybe some of the impurities too. And maybe get you a little higher. Vape bong hits. I've never really heard of anybody doing that or seen it. I'm the only person I know that's ever tried that. But as far as probably the cleanest way to sort of smoke weed, that's got to be it, right? And it barely dirties your bong. A rinse of alcohol once in a blue moon, and that thing is cherry all the time. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. If you've never tried it, I think everyone, that's the only way you should ever vape weed is through a bong, personally. Anyway, this is personal opinion. And if I vape, that's how I prefer to do it, right? And it does seem to, because there's this feeling like you never really feel like you're getting as high as you would by vaping, or high enough, but I think when you bong hit it, it kind of helps you feel like you're really getting high. All right, so that's kind of funny, but also true. Of course, there's bad storms killing people in particularly Republican states, and now they're not getting any help. No one's getting a roof over their head anymore, and that is totally tragic and super sad. And so, yeah, why the hell do these people vote to get their lives ruined by the weather in the first place? They've been voting to deny climate change, which is now the big push by the Republican Party. We want to make sure we just completely deny climate change and fuck over the environment as much as possible, which is not what anybody with any common sense wants to hear, right? Then, of course, they lie and project the opposite. Oh, we're the party of common sense. No, you're not. So they voted for bad weather that's now destroyed their lives, and they're lucky to be alive, and now they're going to get no help when they would have if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris had been in office, right? Oh, he was such a bad president. Yeah, he'd be helping you right now, or she would be. Yeah, that black woman would be coming to your rescue. Um, it's amazing, the racism, the whole trigger. Like, I love it. You see it so quick. If you ever say that, if you're curious if someone's racist, just say, um, boy, I sure would have been better if Kamala had been elected. And they'll be like, oh, no, no way. Like, because they're just so racist, they still can't see through the fucking woods. Anyway, then there's the Diddy case. Oh God, so there's just a lot of gross stuff there, and if you want to watch all the gross stuff, I recommend Nancy Grace. She is hysterical. First of all, she is so funny the way she just, her beliefs are just so strong, and she's so doubtful and so suspicious, I just love. She's great, and her latest video called Itty Bitty Diddy, because he's now getting this reputation for having a small penis, if you didn't know it. In all the grossness, there's a few funny things, and his small penis theme is great. And then the weird behavior, wanting to hire men with big penises to have sex with his girl and watch that. That's strange. That's not normal. What weird pursuits some of these rich people get into. I don't get it. What a waste of your life. But in all of it, I think there's this one thing like that we all just, I think you can't really not think about. And that is when you hear this. So there's this famous rapper who dates Cassie. Afterwards, Kid Cudi, his Porsche gets blown up, presumably or assumably by P. Diddy. And that's the testimony in court this week, right? And then you hear of these other cases of retribution and threats, and of course you see it with him beating up Cassie in that hotel lobby, and then you see the story about, oh yeah, his first wife is dead, and there's no way you don't think that there's some chance that her death is attributed to him, plus his whole possible connection to Tupac being killed maybe. And that whole world of actual, evil shit like that, and so, I could see a world where his first wife might have threatened to expose him in the same way that Cassie now has, and so, I just like in the Daybell case where it took them a while, but eventually they decided to look at the probability that she murdered her first husband and his whoever, all those people were murdered by those crazy people who murdered their children, those Republicans who murdered their children, the Idahoans who came from Arizona, and then anyway, yeah, MAGA moms, the dangers of dating a MAGA mom or marrying one, or oh my God, you could get your throat slit in the middle of the night. No one needs that. I'm so glad to be single. Just like all these women, I guess there's these women, subset of women on TV, TikTok and whatnot, they're all happy to be single. And I get it. You could be with a Republican. Oh my God. So, all right. So yeah, there's that. Like, that's all I can think about when I see this trial is, oh man, I bet he murdered his first wife. And then he took possession of those kids, and then they got to live with the guy who maybe murdered their mom. Who knows? I mean, he is so depraved. You can't put nothing past that loser. And PNW in the what is the PNW? Sorry, I never know what any abbreviations mean. I'm never really sure what emojis mean. Oh, Washington. Okay, thank you. PN, is this the state or this? Okay, yeah. Yeah, beautiful state. So beautiful. All right, so more bad news. So the West Bank diplomats, you might have seen that story where they were shot at by Israeli soldiers. Yeah, you gotta love the Pacific. Oh, Pacific Northwest. All right, there you go. Okay, thanks for cluing me in. I need that. I need a tutor. all the time. But the West Bank diplomats, there's more to that story that wasn't reported, and that was that they were at the gates. They were about to enter these European EU diplomats who were shot at by the Israeli Defense Forces, which is what just commonplace, right, in the West Bank, and of course we know the atrocities in Gaza, all of that. We'll talk about that probably, as we should. Everyone should. But in the West Bank, they've just completely leveled this area called, I think, Jenin, and it's a refugee camp that had 600,000 people in it, and it's completely vacant. They've leveled it. They blew up everything and destroyed everything in it. And those diplomats were at the gates to go in to observe it and to report on it, in a sense as well, and to take note of it. And they were shot at to warn them away from that, and so they never got in to see this atrocity. And so that's not, it wasn't mentioned in the story. Another crazy thing that wasn't mentioned was that Joe Biden overlooked the pursuit of the identity of the soldier that killed an American journalist that was targeted, shot in the head by an Israeli soldier. And so that's disappointing. Joe Biden is 1,000 times better, even in a coma, than any Republican that ever lived. But still, he wasn't perfect. And that was something that, is a stain on his legacy, no doubt. But he was just capitulating to the Israelis. And I don't know why we do it so much, but we do it too much. And now Zionism is being revealed to the world as god-awful. Everything about it. It is, I spent my whole life not really understanding it or who it is and what it until right now. And I realized it's skinheads, it's white supremacists, it's Nazis in the form of Jews. Just as vile as any Nazi is a Nazi Jew, or yeah. So, and that's what the Zionists are. They just want to exterminate everyone in their path, take over the whole region, and they're working on it. They're bombing Syria and taking over space in Syria and Lebanon, and they want to take part of Egypt and completely remove and kill and disperse and ethnically cleanse all of the Palestinians out of there. They're seen as subhuman, and it's just vile violence and racism perpetrated by Zionists. Different than a Jew is a Zionist, right? A Jew is someone who practices Judaism. A Zionist is a white supremacist, sick fuck. Whether they're in Congress or the presidency right now in the United States or is the Israeli government. Netanyahu and that guy that just came here and was celebrated, who's just a genocidal ethnic cleanser. That guy who prompted that Jewish woman to be assaulted by Jews because they thought she was Palestinian, and yeah, anyway, it's all so bad. And of course, every night recently, especially, I mean, all of the aid has been kept out of Gaza while they've pummeled them with bombs, killing 50 to 200 people every single night while they're sleeping in their tents or in a school or in a hospital or at a food kitchen. That's all they're bombing. They're not bombing. There's no Hamas to bomb, or at least they don't know how to bomb them, because they're only bombing civilians, women and children, annihilated constantly. And it's genocide. Everyone's against genocide. Doesn't mean they're pro-terrorist. And that's what the Heritage Foundation is. The Project Esther, if you haven't heard about that, it's this project to just completely manipulate everyone's minds into turning, being against genocide. Anyone that would protest genocide is seen as pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas. So, I mean, and you can avoid even saying pro-Palestinian, which there's nothing wrong with, nor should there be. But just to make it clear, you're just anti-genocide, anywhere on earth, in all of history, in Ukraine as well. And of course, just recently, just like in Israel, they're bombing worse than ever before in Ukraine. they're bombing worse. Putin just bombed worse than he's bombed in the entire conflict for several years now. And right when supposedly there's ceasefire talks, these guys, just like Israel, there's ceasefire talks. There's a 60-day ceasefire being capitulated right now with Hamas, supposedly, but that's just going to be a thing where these people think that they're safe, maybe, or they try to make them feel they're safe, or they just keep bombing the shit out of them and killing them and sniping them and hitting them with drones, and it's brutal. And everyone sees it, and you just can't get away from it anymore. And countries who've been there behind them all the way until now are starting to differ, like the UK and so on. So that's just this ongoing nightmare that we're all watching, right? And nothing we can do about it except want to become politicians elected, I guess. I mean, so that we can make the world a better place, right? And shouldn't that be the only reason to want to get into politics? Because politics sucks. Oh God, this one woman, so I watched a very in-depth discussion about trauma and what causes ADHD in children and why there's so much more of it. And then in some ways it relates to PTSD. Where was I going with this? Shit, I forget the point I was going to make. Oh, I should drink some coffee. Black, if they have a soul, like a Republican soul. Or my ex-wife's. Anyway, oh, God. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, everyone should be willing to run for office, right? And that's what you got to love about the Jasmine Crockett's and the Katie Porters. You get a sense that they are who they are, and they're never going to be a Tulsi Gabbard, pull a bait and switch. All these weirdos. Oh, how about Marco Rubio? What a bait and switch, pretending to be one person, and then just turning his back on his own heritage, and his own words. These guys are so feckless. They have no backbone. They're not the same person as they were before. How do you do that? How's that possible? But yeah, there's a woman in a Missouri state congressional hearing, another articulate, strong-willed, brilliant, beautiful black woman just talking truth to power. And it was inspiring, just like hearing Jasmine Crockett. And 92% of black women were the smartest among us all. They voted not for Donald J. Trader. And you get the sense that none of them were going to just change. Ever, right? Jasmine Crockett ain't never going to be a person other than who she is now. And that is exciting. And what if she was president? It'd be so great. Or like Mark Elias, that lawyer who takes on every important case against the government to fight for the Constitution just because he's a hero. He's like the hero lawyer of our country. Oh man, he ain't never going to change. These people are getting threatened with being put in jail, and they're still not going to change. So you gotta hope that people like that get into politics, get elected, and that's why, as crazy and stupid as it is, I should want to do that. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So this lady talking about all this ADHD and all that stuff. Fuck, I forgot it again. Goddamn, sorry. It was such a complex, this guy, Diary of a CEO guy, this guy with a British accent. I think it's British. I don't think it's South African or Australian. And he was talking to this woman about all these, so kids right now that are surveyed and interviewed, more often than not, are saying the thing that they want is a curse, right? I don't want it. It's necessary if you want to succeed in comedy or politics, but no one should want to be famous, right? And I've heard some Joe Rogan interviewees once, a couple kids that were now famous were like, oh, they were the guys, a pair of normal kids. They're like, we just knew we wanted to be famous someday, so we set out on a course to do that, and that's what inspired all of this whole paranormal channel. Anyway, That is a sick and twisted goal. Of course, I mean, growing up, when I was a kid, people wanted to be famous actors and actresses, and that's why many people moved to LA to pursue those dreams. But for the majority of all kids to someday want to be famous is not good, because fame is a curse. No one should want to be famous. And so it goes. Anyway, all right. It was 5th anniversary of George Floyd, and of course, it's just sad because after feeling like we made some progress, some inroads into awareness about police brutality and efforts to make changes that would create less of it, whether they were successful or not, these people were thinking about it and working on it and doing things to honor. And Black Lives Matter Square is now being torn up in Washington, D.C., and that is pretty sad. And that's just a metaphor for all the other actions that are attacks on DEI and everything that is honest and true and shows humans to be empathetic and sympathetic. And so, the 5th anniversary of George Floyd, and not a good moment in the progress of civil and human rights. But, you know, we can have hope that we can vote for better people. And, yeah. All right. So, and then Congress once made it illegal, right? And it is currently illegal to fire people without cause for not having done anything wrong, just because you have a different political opinion, right, in all government jobs. And, of course, Trump violated that law set down by Congress, and the Supreme Court just upheld Trump's right to violate that law. So that's a bummer. Except for the Federal Reserve. They made one little carve out, sort of. They just mentioned the Federal Reserve as something that, of course, you should never try to fire people at. I think just trying to send a general message to Trump to not have to bring that case to them, because then they'll have to rule against him, and they don't want to. So Trump loses to a law firm who fought back. He's attacking law firms, and now they fought back, and in a major case, law firms won, who were doing pro bono work, right? He attacked their ability to do free work for immigrants, basically. You know, big law firms who have $1,000 an hour clients also do free work for the right reasons, right? Helping immigrants get through the complicated immigration system. West Point speech. Trump gave a absurd, stupid, weird, ignorant, senile speech at West Point, you know, the draft dodger, wearing a red cap, wearing a hat, which is disrespectful. Didn't stay to shake every graduate's hand, which would have been customary. Every other president did that. And he whisked himself away because he needed to play golf that day at an expense of $30 million to the American taxpayers every time he does that, right? $300 million or more. And he's taking that money from FEMA. How's that? Interesting, huh? That's got to make those people in Arkansas, Missouri, and Alabama, Mississippi who are sitting looking at a pile of rubbish instead of their house that could really use some help. Don't have insurance, could have got some help from FEMA, except they elected the president who doesn't want to help them. And Kristi Noem is in charge of not helping you. Boy, is that a sad state of affairs. Yeah, that's why I have no confidence. It's any day now, the FEMA rug, because FEMA's paying for this place and for all the FEMA, for all the refugees from the Lahaina fire that are still here, that qualified. They're being put up, and hopefully I'm going to find a more permanent, affordable residence before I otherwise move on to my friend's driveway, which won't be the end of the world. It's where I used to live. And I suppose I have a disaster case manager. If I end up actually unhoused, I imagine my disaster case manager will be working even harder to help me, right? And to have a disaster case manager, which is like a homeless tutor, uh, will be just what I need. Because this woman is nice and she's supportive and she's got a lot of the qualities that you would want in a girlfriend or wife, in that she just expresses concern and care and tries to remind you to make that doctor's appointment and to apply for that thing that you qualify for the help that you need. And so, yeah, there's a lot of positive things going on, even though there's things that are not so positive. And then there's a lot of discussion about how Trump is probably senile from this point forward, and how his father got Alzheimer's. He started showing dementia signs in his mid-80s at 85. Trump is not that far away. So, and that's one of his big fears is getting that dementia. So, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty sad. It's weird and gross. A bunch of weirdo Republican dudes who are, of course, champions of masculinity. Oh God. Anyway, so this guy had an alpha male boot camp, and everybody teased the shit out of him, and he got everybody teasing him went so viral that he's shut down the alpha male boot camp. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty gross. It's pretty weird. But that's what these weirdo Republican men think they need to do to find themselves. I don't get it. So right now there are 50,000 people wrongfully detained and locked up. People guilty of working 40 to 80 hours a week, doing something that helped you or me every single time. Just attacking the people who helped us all survive the pandemic, that we valued and said, hey, please keep working. You're a valued worker. You're an essential worker. We need you to go to work. Oh, if you're undocumented, that's okay. Just go work separating that meat. And if you die in the process, you know, they're not going to care too much. But we really need you to do that. We value you. And now you are locked in a detention center. And just all sorts of gross violations. And it's this perversion of the GEO group that owns the LaSalle facility in Louisiana, where all these people are being thrown in with 100 other inmates in the cell, right? All these people that aren't criminals, some of which are elderly that need a wheelchair, some of which are teenagers that you're just traumatizing and threatening to send to Sudan, to Africa, or to a death camp in Central America. It's crazy. Yeah, 50,000 people right now. And they're appropriating as much money as they can to hire as many more Gestapo, many more Nazi secret police, the brown shirts that are going to go around with no warrants and no badges and no due process, and sweep people up and throw them in prison with no ability to call anybody, with no access to legal counsel. It is just unconstitutional, frightening shit is what it is for any American that cares about anything that has to do with freedom in America. I mean, it's Kristi Noem, again, she doesn't know what habeas corpus is. She's happy to suspend it. She's all too happy to suspend it, but she doesn't know what it is, right? And it's the thing that it's the most essential aspect of a free society. But she just sees it as one of the things that Donald Trump has the ability to take away, and they're literally trying to sell this to the MAGA morons, that this would somehow be cool and in their best interest to suspend all of their rights. The king just needs to suspend all your rights so they can execute the agenda that they think 77 million Americans voted for. They want them to do all this crime. No. That is the worst shit ever. Anyway, cheers. Yeah, I probably got a little bit of that ADHD, maybe some PTSD. Definitely. But the last thing I'm gonna do is take some fucking amphetamines for it. Holy shit, you know what I mean? Like, the The thought that that's what I would ever consider doing is absurd. No matter how efficient or productive I could become on amphetamines. that yeah. I tried when I think I was 14 years old, and in the 80s it was called crank, and the only people that were producing it were the Hells Angels in the Pacific Northwest, and I snorted a line that long, just a short little line of this shit once, and all I did was stay awake all night long when I didn't want to be awake. There was no high. It didn't feel good. It was gross. It was just being awake, right? And and you compare that to like the feeling you get when you maybe have a glass of red wine or smoke a little weed, where you actually feel a little bit of something kind of good, you know. Like it was night and day to me. There was no chance I was going to ever want to do that drug again. And yet it has just moved on, and it's still present in our world. It's everywhere. It's gross. There's a lot of meth, or used to be, in Hawaii. I don't know the current state because I don't get out much. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, the whole for-profit prison system, the fact that they just want money for bombs to bomb people, to hire racist thugs to go scoop up anyone that's brown skinned and with tattoos and with an accent, which is everybody in my state, is very discerning, very disheartening, very scary, as they don't care about the judicial process, right? I mean, it just really won't be long before they're going after me for having an opinion, right? Because that can't be allowed. When the thought police go out, the brown shirt thought police go out on the streets to try to stop everyone from having any sort of critical thinking, and silencing anyone with any critical thinking. Yeah, that's why I have Faraday cages. I've shown you that already. Let me show them to you again. Oh, they're in another room. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, I ordered some Faraday cages just in case I need to bug out and camp out in the mountains and want to keep my phones with me, but in a bag where no one can tell where I am. Right? I sent anything I ran across. List some good awful truths about the BBB. Oh yeah. So let's talk about it's not the big anything good bill. It's the big, ugly, deadly, dangerous bill, right? That has some evil shit in it. Silencers legalized, right? That's what we need, right? What's going to make us safer is more guns, right? We've got these psycho crazy kids that are being raised, stressed out, with ADHD and PTSD, and we want to make sure they can all get a military weapon with a silencer and a huge clip that's now a machine gun, right? Because they're going to make it legal they've made it legal for machine guns. In this bill, for whatever reason, this budget bill, they legalize silencers for everybody. Which are already legal in, say, Idaho, but not everywhere. And is that what you want the criminals to be able to get? Because this is just easy access for criminals. Then there's the thing in there that suspends a judge's ability to find someone in contempt of court. And right now, Trump and all his goons are in contempt of court. And they do face potential legal consequences, including jail time, right? And they should face it. And that's why judges have said, I want to know exactly who defied this order, because they should be held accountable. In this budget bill that cuts taxes to the 1%, increases them on everybody else, screws over everybody that isn't in the top 1%, maybe a little help to the top 5%, but really just the top 1%, taking away everyone's food programs that feed children, the poor, the disabled, the weak, health care, medical care for the elderly, for children, hurting Medicare, Medicaid, Meals on Wheels, everything. They're just doing everything to harm everybody you could possibly harm, while they're trying to save money for the people who don't need to save money. That's what's so convoluted about this. How greedy could you be? You are in the top 1% or top 0.01%, and you need a tax break at the expense of, and so that because, causing suffering and death to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people around the world in our country. I mean, what? So yeah, I know about some of those things you're talking about, all the secretive little bullshit things. And how about that one? There was this one congressman. It's like, I want to know who put this in the bill. Who's the person? Who is the person? Like, I want a name on who put the free silencers for everybody, right? Like, they're just trying to create a civil frickin' violence, right? And increase it as much as possible, because then that creates the fear that makes you need to vote for the weak man that calls himself a strong man. Oh, God. 1984 kind of shit. Anyway, gee whiz. So, commencement speeches. Of course, Trump famously gave a terrible one at West Point. It was embarrassing for everyone in our country and the people watching him. And he was an affront to everything that's good about our military, whatever good things there are about it. I mean, it protects us and protects our freedom, but it shouldn't have to quite so much. Our country should be better. All countries should be better at just not needing to use military for any reason ever, right? We should be smart enough not to want to have to murder each other to get things done. But yeah, some of the commencement speeches were very inspiring, whether it was the young woman who spoke of Gaza, or of Jane Fonda, or of Beto O'Rourke. There were some good ones, really good ones. And then there was the god-awful one by Trump where he just rambled about trophy wives, and it was prompting everyone to think he's senile. Anyway, so that a lot of that out there. That's cool. Again, it's just so sad Kristi Noem was in charge. FEMA is under the purview of Kristi Noem, of Homeland Security. They're in charge of FEMA. Anyway, and all those red states are just getting pummeled. And it's so sad what they're doing to them. Anyway, all right. So locally, this Maui doctor, right, who presumably had a pretty good kitchen, bed, nice house, probably a nice car, worked real hard to get where he was, decided the next thing he needed to do in life was try to murder his wife on a hiking trail on Oahu. Let's go to Oahu, honey, and stay in a hotel and go for a hike. And so they did. And what did he have? He had syringes to kill her with. That was the third thing he had to kill her with. First, he tried pushing her off the cliff. Then he tried hitting her over the head with a rock the size of a softball. Then he tried injecting her with God knows what. All of it failed. And then two women started coming up the trail and seeing it. And he panicked and fled. So, and she just lifted a restraining order because he's in jail with no bail. And so that made the news. But again, I mean, my God, why do harm and crime when you have the luxuries that just often people who have just the bare minimum often have? They often have a TV, a chair, a couch. Yeah, it breaks down the cruelty. Yeah, so, right, they have all these things that you wouldn't want to give up and go to prison and lose, right? A toilet, a private toilet that isn't next to someone that maybe finds you attractive. Anyway, but yeah, so this guy who's a doctor on Maui tries killing his wife. He's in jail the rest of his life. His wife is traumatized. But he was presumably, obviously, a guy who had everything anyone on earth in their right mind could possibly want, right? All of that guy's needs were met. And somehow he decided his need was to give it all up by trying to hurt somebody. What an idiot. Anyway, what not to do with your life. It's like you have the option of having this super fun, awesome life, being this great person in the world, and then you decide to become a Nazi racist traitor. insurrectionist Republican. Why would you take that turn? It makes no sense. Same thing. Of course, Grok, AI that comes from Elon Musk, it's left leaning because apparently it doesn't know how to lie very well. And someone asked it if Marjorie Taylor Greene is a real Christian, and it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, based on the basic philosophy of Christianity, she's got a lot of hate, so it's debatable. And then she's, I don't. AI is left leaning, so whatever. Anyway, that happened. A local wife, right? So we got a military base on Oahu where Sailing with Phoenix just arrived, not too far away, pretty close. Pearl Harbor is over there, and so this nice military man marries this gorgeous woman from Australia. They look like the perfect couple. They've been married less than a year. She comes to visit him a third time, and there's something not perfect about her immigration status or her visa or something. And what do? They detain her. They lock her up. They don't even let her get to her husband, who is serving in the United States military. And then they deport her, send her back to Australia, and tell her she can't come back here again. What's up with that? That doesn't sound very patriotic, does it? But there's money in it, right? They need numbers. They need statistics. They just want to thin out our country of anybody and everybody they can. And if a few people like that get picked off, they don't really care, right? I guess that's just it's crazy. But not a brown-skinned woman. She's pretty white. I mean, maybe she got a little Maori in her, maybe a little Polynesian blood in her. She's some beautiful mix, maybe. But anyway, so that's in the news. You'll see that on the mainland too. That's starting to pop up everywhere. And what else? Mississippi father with a heritage from Denmark. Been working through the freaking immigration process for more than a decade, has a wife, 4 kids, a 5th kid on the way. And he goes in what he thinks super white guy. Not that should matter. Blue-eyed European, the kind that Trump wants in our country. He gets freaking thrown in prison, no rights, and he's just going in for what he thinks he's going to finally become a citizen, finally become a naturalized citizen after working on this for well over a decade. And apparently there was one piece of paper that wasn't signed properly from 2015 that he wasn't even aware of, which was when his wife had had a stillbirth, and he was dealing with the trauma from that. And because of that, he took this, a foreman welder, a guy who had a career, he'd worked his ass off in our country, and now he has been wrongfully detained, just like all the other 48,000 people, locked up, no rights, no phone calls, and is probably looking at deportation. Hi, Michelle. Aloha. No worries. Yeah, I don't know how to do any of that. I'm so jealous of everybody who knows how to do all this stuff on YouTube. Put up another person in an interview, put up everything in all those ways. I should probably watch some videos on it. My PTSD hasn't given me the brain space to sit down and watch the videos I'm supposed to watch. Or I just wish like I had one friend that could just be like, okay, here, because it's like 10 minutes of knowledge. I bet I could be taught everything I need to know in like 10 minutes. I just need someone to teach me that. Anyway, and then once I learn it someday, I'll teach everybody it in 5 minutes because it's probably not that complicated. But anyway, so yeah, there's that. So yeah, this Mississippi father, his name is Casper. Talk about a white name. That's what they called my son in school when they teased him because he was a haole, a white boy. They called him Casper. Anyway, Casper Erickson. I mean, a Viking. and yeah, wrongfully detained, along with all the other Muslims and Mexicans and anybody they can sweep up, legal or not, American citizens in many cases. It's just sad, disturbing. Yeah, what the hell you gonna do? So, and then what else? Of course, Harvard's in the news because the Trump administration has weaponized every branch of government that it can. It's just targeting its weapons at anyone that isn't a right-wing sick bastard, or any institution that believes in lies and all that shit. So it's attacking Harvard, and it's attacking other universities. That's just the tip of the spear. It's going to attack all the rest. Harvard's just fighting back, right? Columbia University capitulated. Harvard's fighting back, and so now they're getting more, weapons thrown at it, like the IRS trying to take away their tax status and, acting suspicious about its foreign students. And it trying to frame it in a way that plays well on the ears and minds of us Americans who think, oh yes, those positions should be for me. I should be the one that has that space at that school. What's up with you having all these people from around the world go to school here? Anyway, meanwhile, Germany's like, hey, come over, study over here. We'll take all your talent and we'll put it to use. We'll become the best country in the world at everything because we attract all the brightest and best people who study the most and the best stuff. So yeah, every greatest invention that saved the most lives in American history pretty much came out of Harvard University, damn near. So yeah, like the polio vaccine, for instance. Anyway, but it's just it's just weaponized against us. Ugh. Anyway, so this couple leaves the Israeli embassy in Washington, gets gunned down by a guy with the last name Rodriguez. Does that mean he's Mexican? And that's an interesting twist because it's just maybe a Mexican guy born and raised in the United States, who is affected, right? His empathy is so strong that he's willing to die or extinguish his own life, so to speak, in service of a cause greater than himself by committing a crime that he wouldn't have otherwise committed, like the guy who self-immolated, which means you light yourself on fire because of Gaza, right? So many people women and children being tortured, murdered, killed, injured. It's wild that people would go to such measures to make a point, right? So the whole world has to go, oh, look, you made a point. Or like these people right now, you got all these kids and other people for various reasons, always because of infringements on rights, doing hunger strikes, right? Which to me, you just make yourself weaker in the face of adversity, right? I recommend staying strong as you can, and so that you can fight. Run for office, for Christ's sake. Stay in school. Don't kill somebody. Get smart. Work hard. Have a good life, and run for office. Try to make the world a better place, for Christ's sake. Don't go kill somebody. But that happened, and it's just going to be. I will not be surprised to see more stuff like that, right? When we watch genocide, ethnic cleansing at the behest of the Israeli government being supported by our government. If you're really sensitive, if you're really empathetic and sympathetic, you might take it to that extreme. And so no one wants to see more of that shit, but I don't think anybody with an IQ above Republican will be surprised. And it'll often, so crazy, right? That shit happening. It's like the Luigi Mangione shit. Anyway, some guy tried to open a door mid-flight. Crazy. Funny thing is, nowadays, everyone in the plane knows like because of 9/11, you're going to be willing to interject even if you get injured because you don't want to die for sure, which is what happens when you let people hijack a plane. It might be a death sentence. And then the guy who wants to try to open the door, right? We all now know, oh, what that is when we see it, and we got to stop that guy, or the person who's trying to hurt somebody on a plane. The whole plane jumps in to restrain the guy. It's this interesting new group dynamic that is predictable because we've all sort of vicariously been trained that we might have to take action to keep ourselves from being the victim of a crime that somebody wants to commit against everybody on a plane, which is crazy. Anyway, so that happened. Yeah, the budget battle. We have to pray that God, the Alaska, the Maine, the few sensible women in the Republican Party, Rand Paul, of all people, is smart enough to see the dangers with this bill, and so on. So let's just pray it doesn't. If it gets through the Senate, I mean, my God, things are just going to keep getting worse, and I'm going to have more reason to do more god-awful, shitty news, which I apologize for. I do not want to do this, but it's sort of good in some ways. It is true. I'm accomplishing other things in my life, I think, because of this vicariously. I'm, getting things done leads to more getting things done. Then there's the Bitcoin weirdo. God, again, another freaking rich guy. It's got to be a freaking weirdo. Gets a sex worker maybe from Italy to come here, and then tries to keeps him captive, kidnaps him, tortures him to try to give him his Bitcoin wallet, which he never does. He sneaks out of the house, gets help, and it's sick. This guy had a private plane, a private elevator. I mean, a private plane and a private helicopter, in addition to his lavish lifestyle. That's the level he was on. And he needed to steal money from somebody. He needed to, what? Why? Oh, God, these people just throw their, what could be enjoyable lives away. I don't get it. Again, that guy, you know what he could have done? Less. He could say, I'm thinking about doing some harm, some crime, and then say, you know what, I think I'm gonna do less. Because in New York City, he could go to a dispensary, get some good weed, smoke that good weed, eat a big meal, take a big nap, instead of kidnapping and torturing somebody to try to steal from them. But, he's part of the 1% that we need to give tax breaks to. He and P. Diddy. Oh, and of course, P. Diddy is looking for a pardon. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he got one, because why? P. Diddy has a lot of money. He could pay a huge bribe. I mean, he could pay a $1 billion bribe, right? And what Republican president wouldn't want a $1 billion bribe? So I would not be surprised if Puff Daddy gets a pardon after he's convicted, and have to owe everything to Donald Trump. But then again, he's black, so maybe they won't. Oh, and who is going to get the Kennedy Center Lifetime Achievement Award? I can't wait to see the racist traitor that they pick for that award. So yeah, John Waltz is the name, and I guess he had an accomplice who has the gun, because there's pictures of a gun to the guy's head. There's rounds of ammunition found, but there's no gun. So the person who they're looking for and the gun that was used in the threats is not present. That gun is now at the bottom of a river, presumably, and that guy is hiding out somewhere, knowing that once he's found, he might never be free again. So that really puts the impetus on trying to protect your freedom, I presume. The Department of Education firing half of its workers has been blocked. So that's good. It's probably a matter of time before they fight harder to fire all those people and then win at that effort. Yeah. John Voight. Yep. Yeah, John Voight's gonna be one of them. I was asked in my class, do a South Park episode where it predict the future, and I was like, yeah, the next 4 The next 4 Kennedy Center Lifetime Achievement Awards are going to be John Voight, Kid Rock, Sylvester Stallone, and what's his name? Hulk Hogan, right? You get a wrestler, or no, it'll be Kanye, right? The Nazi, John Voight, the actor, Kid Rock, the musician, and Hulk Hogan, the actor. So they get one of each of those different, categories, all of which are white, right? They're not going to give it. Except for Kanye, who's the Nazi. Although then again, maybe they won't, even though they want to give it to Kanye, but he's black, so maybe they'll just make sure they don't also give it to anybody who's black, because that'd be a DEI higher choice, right? So yeah, that is a future joke. That is an ongoing one we can all enjoy. As soon as they announce the first one, it's just gonna be so great. I mean, just because it's definitely gonna be like one of those people, or someone like him, or maybe Sylvester Stallone, some dipshit moron, who, or Dana White, or Joe Rogan. There you go. Could be a podcaster, right? Oh God. Oh. Anyway, all right. So let's see what else. Pat Sutton is, I think, a state representative elected in a place that had a 55-point swing towards Donald Trump in the last election, and she just was elected in a place where Trump won by 55 points. So I think they're less attractive to vote for lots of people, especially anybody who anybody who is on or looking forward to Social Security, anybody who needs or has or will someday need veterans benefits, everybody who has or needs or knows a child that might benefit from free meals in school, or need free meals from the food bank, or an elderly person who needs free Meals on Wheels. They've affected so many people. They're just so unpopular now. And that's evident by all their town halls, right? And then Omaha elected the first black mayor, and that's a big step in the right direction. And so that's sort of like some good news. And then of course there's the in this fake budget bill, there are Trojan horses. There's the no tax on tips, which isn't going to be a no tax on tips. It's going to be a bait and switch. It's going to be a way for wealthy people to obfuscate their taxes and avoid having to pay them, as they claim that their income comes in this fashion. In addition to the silencers and the attack on the judiciary that's in this bill, it's incredible, and it's god-awful. Anyway, that is most of and all the news in the last day. There's some more bad news from this morning. Trump said a bunch of crazy ass shit again. He goes on his Truth Social and just rails crazy shit all the time that makes no sense. And sentences that don't make sense, prejudices that don't make sense. He just railed on Zelensky and didn't rail on Putin, although he acted surprised that Putin isn't doing what he wants and to stop the war. Meanwhile, Putin's just playing Trump, like a fiddle. And Trump is a Russian asset, most likely, right? I think everybody believes that. The Russia was not a hoax, and so on. And no, it wasn't the Biden crime family. It is the Trump crime family. And the right-wing, devil-worshipping anti-nationalists that call themselves Christians, Ziklag group manipulating, the tech bros, fucking with everything. It's crazy. Anyway, thanks for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to build this channel finally. If if you look out on the landscape of all the thinly veiled Nazi racist traitors who are sometimes Canadian, like Jordy Peterson, or they're a black woman like that Candace Owens, or they're a Jew like Ben Shapiro. They're locked arms with Klansmen and Nazis. I don't get it. You know, when they go to their voters booth, they're doing whatever the Klansmen and Nazis would like them to do, and they're these people, and they influence people. And Joe Rogan and all the right-wing psycho and all the shitty comedians that were already bad, and they got worse when they decided that part of their shtick was going to be their racist, misogynist jokes. You know, although they did prove a point about a joke here that's been going on since I first moved here. When I first moved here and started waiting tables, one of the other servers told me a story about a Republican that asked, what is the island floating on, right? Because they're so stupid, they think islands float. And so when Tony Hinchcliffe, the shitty comedian who thinks he's the God's gift to the world, this racist little pig who's obviously teased like all of them mercilessly, which is why he's such an asshole, when he said Puerto Rico's floating on a pile of trash, he revealed how stupid all Republicans are that think that islands float. And it was an old joke when I moved to Hawaii almost 30 years ago, right? Because that's what stupid Republicans will say to you when they get off a plane and sit at your table. What is the island floating on? What's under the island? As I've said in the past, like Republicans, when they get off the plane, they just spend the whole time in Hawaii just trying to find to tell the difference between what is maybe a hole, their ass, or a hole in the ground. They don't know. And so the whole time they're just trying to figure out their ass from a hole in the ground, and they can't figure it out because this place doesn't make sense to them because it's not white. Everywhere they look, they see someone they feel like they should be prejudiced against, right? Anyway, goddamn poor people. I feel sorry for these people. But now that they're destroying the world, killing people everywhere in every means possible through starvation. Oh, how about disease spreading? Boy, is it time to wear a prophylactic in life, but also in the bedroom, because venereal disease is spreading. You know, in addition to measles, you can assume venereal disease is taking a hold of our country right now more than ever, as people that might have recommended you do smart and safe and intelligent things, that's all gone. It's all gone. So, and then this dipshit Linda McMahon in charge of the Department of Education, so that she can dismantle it. God awful. So much bad news. Anyway, there's more already. I could write a whole new show already this morning. I'm going to start probably after this. Start taking notes. And thanks for letting me share my my silly, terrible jokes with you for the up and coming. It's gonna make it real boring if you watch this stand-up bit, but it'll be fun. Maybe I'll put the camera on myself or the audience, but I think I'll try to go live. We'll see what happens. Audience viewership has been fluctuating quite a bit. It's very interesting. I don't know what algorithms are seeing, or is there a human being with a button? You know, is there a person behind the curtain fucking with the algorithms, or is it just the algorithms fucking with themselves? I don't know, but you know, it's really interesting. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because you see people who've gone from like a one video a week to one every 2 days, 3 days, to one a day, to now they feel like they got to do, because Midas Touch just has been climbing because they do 8 videos a day or 10. They do one every 2 hours all day long, and they're just constantly dropping a new one on one subject. And so I think what I've watched, like with Jesse Dollemore, is him starting to make more and more content, just to try to kind of keep up, and Brian Tyler Cohen as well. Yeah, and then of course when they talk about people being unsubscribed without their knowledge, I think that might go on. I also think I offend people, so, and I hope I do. If you're a dumb shit Republican, you're too stupid to know that you're a racist traitor, an insurrectionist. I'm here to remind you that, and if you want to stop being a Republican, you can right now. Bam, boom, flip a switch. Stop being a racist traitor. Start giving a shit, right? Freedom is what real Americans love. Freedom for themselves and for others, right? Any real American, like when you watch Modern Family, what do I see? I see people I celebrate their freedom to be who they want to be and who they are and how different everybody is, right? Like when I watch our Olympic team, I celebrate the strength of having a Japanese woman who's better than any of the Japanese skaters, or a Mexican soccer player that's better than any of the Mexican soccer players, right? And so on, right? Having all these mixed races on our Olympic team is freaking cool, but not if you're a racist Republican traitor, an insurrectionist. You're offended by all that. You think your country supposed to be more white. And I've been hearing this fear since the 70s. I grew up around racist Republicans who were afraid that, at some point in the future, the majority won't be white. It is the dumbest thing to even think about, the replacement theory. No, the replacement theory is this. They're replacing PhDs with DUIs, or DEI with DUIs, right? PhDs with high school dropouts. That's the great replacement theory that's happening right now. They're replacing competent people with incompetent people. That's what's the real replacement theory is. Not a theory, it's a systemic effort by the Republican Party that's in full view of everybody, replacing PhDs with high school dropouts, DEI, highly qualified DEI people who were just allowed to apply, and they won on merits, and now they got to be fired, so you can put a high school dropout in there in their place. And it is just rich to watch this shit. And then for these people to say, we got to do this for national security, or to make our country safer, so we're hiring the right people, the smartest, best people. No, you're not. No one thinks you are. Everyone knows you're not. And it's just sad. Anyway, it's a challenge, isn't it? Like, there are no words bad enough to describe these vile, disgusting, coward, insurrectionist traitors. But there's every bad word fits. So you can just start here and you can just keep using bad words to describe how terrible these disgusting whores for frickin' Nazism are, but none of the words are bad enough or good enough to address the situation. So, you can just say it's sad. And include all those other words that you can any bad word you can imagine. Anyway, yeah. So that's what's going on, man. All kind of crazy shit. And there's all the other bad stories that I talk about are also still they're just wheels that are still spinning, right? Just like I just got the wheel spinning it's a real hard wheel to get spinning. And that's the wheel of exercise routine, right? Eating right is good, sleeping right is good, and just as good and important is some level of exercise. And I have gone to 3 canoe practices so far, which isn't easy, which feels great. Being sore everywhere is good. I can see myself in the future being less chubby, not being obese technically. I think I'm working on that. And I've been swimming. And so that's good. Speaking of getting the positive wheel spinning, right? Unlike the negative wheels that the Trump administration has put into motion. All the terrible things he is and could possibly do are being done by, skinheads, white supremacists, white inferiorists, obviously, really. And I love plenty of comedians. The liberal redneck just told that joke, yeah, they don't really seem too supreme to me. That's an easy joke to come by. I came by. That's one of those jokes that 100 people could do that joke, and they wouldn't be stealing that joke from someone else because it's just an obvious joke that's been right there on the table forever and always will be. I could tell a joke like that, and I wouldn't be stealing from the liberal redneck, and he wasn't stealing it from me when he said his joke, and because I've already said shit like. Anyway, it's just what's obvious. These people are so inferior. What do you get when you line up 15 Trump supporters smiling? A full set of teeth. That's a joke I heard in Kentucky No, I heard that in Indiana when I was riding a bicycle across the United States in the summer of 1991. I heard someone in Indiana say that about people from Kentucky. What do you get when you line up 15 Kentucky women smiling? Was the joke, but pretty much all those, or any of the incest jokes, those can be just turned into Trump supporter jokes. Like in West Virginia, they told me West Virginia incest jokes, like which was there were two of them that I couldn't forget. One of them was, why would you, or bestiality, why do the West Virginians have sex with sheep at the edge of a cliff? Because they push back harder. That was the joke. And it was West Virginians telling me that West Virginia joke, just like it's the Filipinos telling me the Filipino jokes. And then the other one was, what do you call in West Virginia, what do you call a girl that runs faster than her brother? A virgin. And yeah, those were the jokes told by the nice. This doctor pulled over. He was driving a Jetta. Of course, all cyclists drive Volkswagens back in the day with a bicycle on top of his car. And he just needed to talk to me because I was touring across the U.S. And I was up in the Panhandle, just outside of Wheeling, West Virginia, on my way towards it. And he pulled up and said, hey, my family's having a barbecue. Just come hang out. Because he wanted to talk to me about my bicycle adventures. He was a cyclist and he was a doctor. So well educated in a place where, some people weren't. And so, yeah, that was the source of these jokes. Also taught me all about lightning bugs and what they did with them as children, hitting them with a baseball bat and putting them in a jar, smearing them on their finger like a ring, things like that. Anyway, all right. Thanks for letting me share stories with you. Also, in the lead up to West Virginia, all through Pennsylvania, there are some hideous lawn ornaments, more so than anywhere else in the country. I think it's something having to do with the Dutch. But these crazy ass lawn ornaments, the sphere, the mirror sphere on a cone, just a sphere on a cone, and that'll be right in the middle of someone's yard, and their whole yard will be landscaped around that in a big circular pattern. And that's just one of the lawn ornaments, gnomes and pink flamingos, you name it, anything you can imagine. Yeah, right through Amish country. Anyway, but that's where I also saw lightning bugs for the first time and thought I was hallucinating. Thought I was seeing tracers in the dark, but it was just lightning bugs, which I thought were, fireflies, because I'd been to the Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland. It was the only reference I had up to that point. Anyway, all right. Listen, you all have a great day. Until tomorrow, until the next time. I hope to finally get around to making better content, basically. I mean, content other than this news. But it's keeping me informed and keeping you informed. And I do want to fight against misinformation, disinformation, people who are uninformed. And I don't know any better way to do it than to do this. Because that's what I go out in the real world, and most people don't know anything that's going on. And I am burdened by watching all the news, so I know all the news stories. Which is enjoyable when you meet someone informed, right? Because you'd be a perfect stranger. If you're informed on any subject, could be NFL football. If they know about it and you know about it, you can have a conversation. And when you know current events, it's always an opportunity to communicate with somebody else. So I'll probably always have this burden of knowing what's going on and living in a world where most people don't. And there's nothing wrong with that, but right now it would be a better time than other times for people to be informed. Because if people had been better informed, they wouldn't have voted for that racist, pig, criminal, 34-time convicted felon, rapist, murderer, thief, liar, pathological liar, sociopath, malignant narcissist that we have for president. Overall, bad. Everything he says about bad, these are bad people. It's the worst person on earth calling other people bad people. It is hysterically funny if it wasn't so cruel and inhumane and coming from someone with such power and weird at the same time. It's just all that. Anyway, all right. Love you guys. Thanks for watching my channel. It's a great day to be alive, right? No matter what's going on, even if the news is terrible, it doesn't mean our life has to be terrible. We can do our best to forge a good life through these traumatic times. And so on. Yeah, y'all are loved, and you make me feel loved. And we got this little community. You know what I mean? Even though the world's falling apart, at least we have each other. You know what I mean? At least we have each other. I like to say that too. That's one of those lines you can just drop in a lot of situations, right? Anytime anything's going on with you and your friends, whatever, any team you're on, any group you're in, any set of friends, you just throw that out there at the right moment. It's a funny line, you know. Well, at least we have each other, in lieu of whatever hell is going on and all that. So. And that is true, and I do feel that, and that is the best part about this news program. Is this small community of nice people who care about our country, care about human beings, care about democracy and the Constitution, aren't afraid to be informed a little bit. It's all good. And nobody else is doing this either. Like, I don't know anyone doing all the news stories that you can find. Of course, I watch all the mainstream media too, which is all the bad news about all the things that happen, and with one good story, the storms and the bombings and the domestic violence, the mass shootings every day. There's a mass shooting, thanks to our Republican gun laws. And so, yeah, like-minded, but also just normal people. Right? These poor kids that are growing up abnormal. If they want to be more normal, they need to find programs like this and people like you who are watching it. But it's a small subset of the same crowd that we're seeing is huge, right? The Midas Touch crowd is the biggest audience in social media nowadays. And they are not a right-wing Nazi like all the Republicans and Joe Rogan and all his douchebag friends. I mean, my God. And what an opportunity there is now, right? Now that Joe Rogan has destroyed comedy, taken all these shitty comedians and made them worse, boy, is there a space for people who are actually funny, Gee whiz. All right. Yeah, and god dang it, if you want to see something funny, just watch Nancy Grace talk about P. Diddy. Itty Diddy P. Diddy's his little Tootsie Roll. Oh, who knew that would be coming? I guess you could have predicted it, right? It's often a man who's insecure about his penis that either has to abuse a woman or drive a big truck or become the president of the United States or Ted Cruz. Or Little Dick Johnson, or oh God, I did not know what Little Dick energy was until recent. Just like I didn't know what Zionism was till recently. Now I know what Zionism is and what pronounced Little Dick energy is. Right? It's Republican energy. It's the Republican of the men with little dicks and the women who love them. Anyway, all right. Love you guys. Yeah, and that Project Esther, that's being mentioned because that's the Heritage Foundation effort to brainwash everybody into seeing being anti-genocide as some sort of affiliation with terrorism, which is just stupid, absurd. Everyone sees through it. Heritage Foundation is a sick and twisted bunch of sick and twisted people who, along with the Federal Society, have taken over our government. So everyone out there needs to be willing to run for office. Anyway, it's do or die. It's just like diet, exercise, and sleeping right when you're my age. If you don't do all that stuff, you're going to die. And if we don't start taking care of our country and start attracting the right people and the best people into politics that are not Nazi, racist traitors, we'll be good. Just people that want to make the world a better place. Is that so much to ask? All right, I got to shut up, man. I'm approaching 2 hours of talking to you guys. I'm sorry. Thanks for putting up with all this time. But we got through it. It's a great day to be alive. I'm going to go live it up. You guys live it up. And John Sipple, try taking bong hits of vape if you haven't. It might be a more fun way to do it. It might be a little cleaner. It might be healthier. It might keep your throat from closing up. I've never heard that in the news, but I know it can happen because it happened to me. My throat stopped, and I couldn't breathe for like 45 seconds. I thought I was going to die. I couldn't call 911 because I couldn't say anything to them. So, and it would have been too late. You need air every second. And I keep waiting for that as a side effect to surface because it's happened enough that it came onto people's radar and that it got addressed by some, medical professional. All right, let's get out of here before 2 hours. Do no harm, do no crime. Thanks for watching. All good things in all good time. Go be a pro-democracy patriot. I think I'm gonna make a hat that says that. That'd be a cool blue hat. Pro-democracy or patriot or just pro-democracy patriot on a blue cap. If I had merchandise to sell, that might be one of the things. In addition to do no harm, do no crime. Thanks for watching All Good Things in all good time. But yeah, John, if you visit me or if I visit you and you want to help me work on my merchandise, I'd love to have a friend to just bounce shit off of and someone's help me stay focused for more than an hour. All right. Love you guys. Aloha.